Episode 3 of HBO's The Last of Us adaptation is already being hailed as potentially one of the greatest episodes in television history. Today, I want to discuss and share some of the changes that were made between episode 3 of the HBO show and the original game. I wanted to make this video for fans of the show who haven't played the game but are interested to know what changes were made. No major spoilers for anything beyond episode 3 of the show and the same period in the video game. In the show, Joel and Ellie narrowly escape a horde of infected on the heels of a brutal and heartbreaking sacrifice by Tess, Joel's longtime partner. Joel is taking them to see Bill, a survivalist he and Tess work with in their smuggling operation. In the game, Joel and Ellie are similarly heading out west to find Tommy.
There's enough here that you have to feel some sort of obligation to me, so you get her to Tommy's.
They need a car, and Joel thinks that Bill might be able to hook them up with one.
There's a fella there that owes me some favors. Good chance he could get us a car.
Pretty similar so far, but here's where things diverge, and the show makes the biggest changes we've seen so far. In the show, we leave Ellie and Joel behind and watch an hour-long love story involving Bill and his partner Frank. We don't meet up with Joel and Ellie until the very end, after Bill and Frank's story has reached its conclusion. In the game, however, we don't see any of Bill and Frank's story. This sort of thing isn't really something you can do in a video game, as versatile as the medium can be. It would have looked very different, like you'd take control of Bill and play an hour or so of gameplay with some story moments interspersed. Instead, we stick with Joel and Ellie and they reach Bill's town. Unlike the show, where we're given a relatively narrow slice of the town, likely to save on budget, the show has Joel and Ellie exploring the town in its full breadth, interacting with the infected that reside in it, as well as having to navigate Bill's intricate traps.
Oh. Those things are kind of awesome.
That's one way to do it.
Sometimes resulting in intense moments and close calls that we essentially skip past in the show. There's a really cool moment where Joel gets tangled up in one of Bill's traps and is forced to defend Ellie from a legion of infected upside down. As they're barely managing to survive, they're rescued by none other than Bill himself. Yes, in this continuity, Joel and Ellie actually meet Bill on their journey, whereas in the game, they only arrive at the end of his story. From there, they narrowly escape more hordes of infected until we reach Bill's home base, which looks pretty unfamiliar if you're a fan of the show. In the show, Bill's home is fairly intact, despite 20 years of what was probably very minimal upkeep. In the game, Bill's living a more ramshackle life, taking refuge in a rundown basement of a church. Still able to be self-sustaining, clearly, but not nearly as clean and efficient as show Bill. Bill gives Joel and Ellie some supplies, and they work their way through town once again, trying to reach a school where Bill thinks there might be a car battery for them to use.
There's that truck sticking out of the school right there.
After this goes awry,
It's empty. What? Fucking empty!
they manage to find some respite in a house where they find a dead man, having hung himself after getting infected. Now, show watchers may be asking, where the hell is Frank? Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Frank. Yes, in the game, we never actually meet Frank.
What, you know this guy or something?
In fact, it's only lightly implied that Bill and Frank were even involved romantically, with Bill referring to Frank as his partner.
Frank.
Who the hell's Frank?
He was my partner. He's the only idiot that would wear a shirt like that.
In the house, they find that Frank had taken Bill's battery and managed to fix up a truck. If you choose to explore the house, you can find a note, similar to the note Bill left Joel, or whomever in the show, but instead it's from Frank to Bill, and we get insight into a very different relationship. The note reads, "Well, Bill, I doubt you'd ever find this note because you were too scared to ever make it to this part of town, but if for some reason you did, I want you to know I hated your guts. I grew tired of this shitty town and your set in your ways attitude. I wanted more from life than this, and you could never get that. And that stupid battery you kept moaning about, I got it, but I guess you were right. Trying to leave this town will kill me. Still better than spending another day with you. Good luck, Frank." We see glimpses of this dynamic in the show. Frank at one point wants to fix up their house and make some positive relationships, but Bill is very intransigent, much to Frank's frustration. But show Bill manages to let his guard down, which brings them closer together. It seems like game Bill never did that, which eroded their relationship to the point of Frank hating Bill.
Once upon a time, I had somebody that I cared about. A partner. Somebody I had to look after. And in this world, that sort of shit's good for one thing. Getting you killed. So you know what I did? I wisened the fuck up. And I realized it's gotta be just me.
You can give this note to Bill, who will then crumple it up and call Frank a fucking idiot. After a brief action sequence, they manage to get the truck working, and that's where we leave Bill. In the game's continuity, he is very much alive and is referenced briefly in the sequel. Game Bill has a more direct role in moving Joel and Ellie's story forward, rather than serving as a separate vignette. I very much enjoyed and appreciated the way they took his story for the TV show, but it is a vastly different experience. Bill in the game has some cool and fun interactions with Joel and Ellie that are missing from the show.
Thanks for the heroics and all. Ellie. Hey, what are you... Joel?
Bill!
What are you doing?
Bill!
Let me go.
Turn around and get on your knees.
Just calm down a second.
Turn around
All right.
and get on your knees. Don't test me. Just
Take it easy.
any bites. Oh. Anything sprouting?
Oh, God damn it, I'm clean!
If I see so much as a twig. Ow! Stop! Son of a bitch!
But I don't think anything major is lost with the direction they took. This would have had to have been a very action-heavy episode, with Joel, Ellie, and Bill running around the town fighting off dozens of infected. And that's not really what this show is doing. Instead, we get a somber love story, which I think is a cool change. Oh, and one of the other hints that Bill and Frank may have been more than just buddies, as Joel refers to them at the end of their interaction, is a gay porn magazine that Ellie steals from Bill that she rudely just gets rid of after some quips. You can see a lot of similarities between both Bills. They're resourceful, highly paranoid, and not particularly outwardly friendly towards others. While the game gives us a brief look into what could be a more tender side of Bill, the show completely leans into that concept, giving us a story about a man who learns to trust and love in a world where those things are hard to come by.
I'm old. I'm satisfied. And you were my purpose.
Whether you've played the games or are experiencing this world for the first time through the show, let me know what you think of these changes in the comments, and be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.